Welcome to our Drought Coping Strategies series. In this video, we will introduce critical activities to combat drought, thus providing the starting points and justifications for the topics we'll cover, and give you a complete picture of the series progression. We will give an outline of some pre-drought, in-drought, and post-drought activities. We will also be covering activities that are critical in combating drought, starting points and justification for the topics or content that will be covered in the series, connection and progression of the content in the series to give you a complete picture of the series, a quick run through of the critical activities during the pre-drought period, which is basically every time, water management and conservation, water use efficiency. We must always maximize the use of every drop of water, leak detection and repair. We need to regularly check and fix leaks to prevent water wastage. Water storage. You need to ensure you have adequate water storage solutions. We move on to agricultural practices. Drought-tolerant crops. Plant crop varieties that are tolerant to drought conditions. Soil management. Improve soil health to retain more moisture. Efficient irrigation. Implement irrigation methods that minimize water use. Moving on to farm level monitoring and early warning systems. Climate monitoring. Keep track of weather patterns and expert predictions on drought onset. Drought indicators. Establish indicators like rainfall levels and soil moisture to anticipate drought conditions. Let's move on to farm policy and regulations. Water allocation policies. Your policies should ensure equitable water distribution, prioritizing essential uses during droughts. Drought management plans. Create comprehensive plans for actions during different drought stages. Now we talk about infrastructure improvements. Resilient infrastructure. Build and maintain drought-proof water supply systems and robust irrigation networks. Rainwater harvesting. Install systems to collect and to store rainwater. Now we will talk about team awareness and education. Staff training. Educate the labor force about water conservation and drought preparation. Worker engagement. Involve your team in drought preparedness planning so that you are always on the same page. Now we are going to talk about critical activities during drought. On water management and conservation, we are going to first discuss prioritization of water use. Allocate available water to critical needs like high-value crops and livestock. Efficient irrigation practices. Use precision techniques such as drip or sprinkler irrigation. Water recycling and reuse. Capture and reuse water within the farm, like recycling water from equipment washing. Now we talk about crop management. Crop selection. Switch to drought-tolerant or short-season crops. Adjust planting dates. Alter your schedules to utilize available moisture or expected rainfalls. Reduce plant density. Decrease plant numbers per unit area to reduce water demand. Now onto soil management. Mulching. Apply mulch to reduce evaporation and to maintain the soil moisture. Conservation tillage. Minimize soil disturbance to preserve the soil moisture. Soil amendments. Use conditioners like compost to improve soil structure. Now we're going to talk about livestock management. Adjust stocking rates. Reduce livestock numbers to match available resources. Supplementary feeding. Provide alternative feeds like hay and silage to supplement the reduced pasture. Water supply for livestock. You need to ensure reliable water through troughs or alternative sources. Now we move on to monitoring and decision support. Regular monitoring. Continuously check your soil moisture, crop health, and weather forecasts. Use of technology. Employ sensors and remote sensing to track water use and schedule the irrigation. Drought alerts. Always stay updated with local drought advisories. Now we're going to discuss financial and risk management. Insurance. Where it is available, swiftly utilize crop and livestock insurance to mitigate financial losses. Financial planning. Adjust your plans to account for reduced income and increased costs. Now we're going to talk about community collaboration and support. As we mentioned in our other video, farming is a community endeavor. Under this topic, we are going to talk about resource sharing. Collaborate with neighboring farms for water, equipment, and labor. In some cases, you may not need full-time labor, but can have labor rotation or sharing arrangements. Information exchange. Participate in extension programs and farmer networks. Now we are going to talk about critical activities post-drought. We start with assessment and documentation. This is usually ignored by most farmers, or they do not have a well-planned and systematic way of doing it. You need to start with damage assessment. Conduct thorough assessments of the drought's impact on your crops, soil, livestock, staff, and infrastructure. Then move on to record keeping. Document losses and damage to support any insurance claims you might be preparing, financial aid that may be available, and to feed into your future planning. Now let's talk about soil and land management. Soil restoration. Implement practices like cover cropping, composting, and green manuring to restore your soil fertility. Erosion control. Use techniques such as contour plowing, terracing, and planting windbreaks to prevent soil erosion and retain moisture. Soil erosion has been one of the reasons why the impact of droughts has been so severe. Now we talk about water management. Replenish your water supplies. Focus on replenishing groundwater and surface water through rainwater harvesting and recharge pits, among other water harvesting techniques. Irrigation system upgrades. Resources allowing, upgrade to efficient systems like drip or sprinkler irrigation. Otherwise, seek help and training to make the system that you already have be more efficient. Water storage. Invest in on-farm water storage solutions such as ponds, weirs, tanks, and cisterns. Now we are going to move on and talk about crop and livestock management. Crop rotation and diversification. Rotate your crops and diversify plantings to improve soil health. Drought-tolerant varieties. Transition to drought-tolerant crops and hardier livestock types or breeds. Restocking your livestock. Gradually rebuild your herds considering available resources and land capacity. Take your time to determine your livestock carrying capacity. Get expert advice. Now we're going to talk about financial recovery and risk management. Insurance claims and financial aid. Where available, utilize these resources. Make sure you fully understand how they operate and what they cover and to what level. Debt management. Strategically and legally restructure or defer debt payments to alleviate financial pressures. Now let's talk about training and capacity building. Farmer education. Participate in relevant training programs. Knowledge sharing. Engage with your fellow farmers to share best practices. Now let's discuss monitoring and planning. Regular monitoring. Monitor your soil moisture, crop health, and weather conditions regularly. Invest in soil monitoring tools. You'll be glad you did. Drought contingency planning. Develop and update your drought contingency plan for pre-drought, in-drought, and post-drought phases. Nothing can replace good planning. You may never follow your plans to the letter, but the planning process actually gets you to think about issues that would never have crossed your mind. Planning persuades you to pay attention to detail. In summary, drought preparation and implementation of drought coping strategies is a continuous process. Documentation and record keeping are critical tools in combating drought. Follow practical steps to measure and apply water effectively. In our next video in this series, we will be focusing on understanding essential irrigation terms and methods, because without correct knowledge, planning and implementation are impossible. We will define and explain terms, concepts, and methods in irrigation to help you gain control over how you use your water. If you have any questions or comments, join us in the comment section to continue the discussion. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Stay connected by following us on our Facebook page and visiting the Kumasimini website. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.